Safe?
Hey, what's up, Fanny Pack fans? Welcome back to another episode. Today, I'm with Mike Rao from a show about food. What we're gonna do today is cook mac and cheese, but with a broken wrist.
A couple of things about the injury. It triggered something called Parsonage Turner syndrome, which is something I've struggled with on and off throughout the past couple of years. Parsonage Turner is this weird idiopathic condition that they don't exactly understand why it happens. But long story short, this time it afflicted my hand. So first look at this hand. This is the normal hand, okay? Now I'm gonna try to do the same thing, or I'm gonna hold that position with this hand. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Now I'm gonna try to extend it. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, he literally cannot control that.
Yeah,
on his own.
Anyway, you tell the people the.
Just let me know if you're having any pain. So we're gonna be looking at his range of motion, which means how much flexibility he has.
0 pain.
Okay. Any issues over here?
0 pain.
So I can feel some stiffness over there, and I suspect that it's both the joint, but then also the scar. So the scar is actually going to make the skin a little bit tougher, and it's going to provide some resistance. How many weeks are you out from the injury now?
Oh gosh, I think probably end of July is when it happened, and I
Probably about 8 weeks now. Yeah, I'd say the scar looks pretty clear, and there's no scabs on it, so I'll probably work on loosening it up. And I'd give it a little bit of a massage over here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, with coconut oil. What they recommend is vitamin E oil, but I think coconut oil probably does pretty well.
So what's the prognosis on regaining full flexibility again?
I'd say typically with a wrist fracture, you could probably regain most of that within half a year.
Oh, great.
But it's going to depend on the person, of course, the severity of the injury. For yours, you needed an actual open reduction internal fixation, the RIF, with all the pins. See these portals over here, the little scars? That's where the pins were. Just gonna give it a little bit of movement here.
Yeah, do it. I am much rougher with my hand, so you do you. I don't know if it'll hurt or help, but I've tended to have. Well, I have extremely flexible wrists.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I can.
But look at that, yeah.
So
actually, can we see how far you could bend it this way? Okay, that is definitely very flexible. Here, this is a normal person over here without that extra flexibility. So let's just take a look at how much you can move it this way.
Okay.
Into extension, yep. Into wrist extension, so. And then go into wrist flexion. Any pain with either of those movements?
Mild. Yeah.
Mild pain?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably 2.5 to 3.
Okay, I'd say don't push past more than that.
Okay.
In general, that's a good guideline for how far you should go with any sort of exercise after an injury. No more than 2 to 3 out of 10. And then you went to PT a week ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I went to an occupational therapist, actually.
What did you guys talk about?
There was a lot of diagnostic. It was kind of my intake appointment. So they'd give me a list of exercises to do.
Okay.
Just a lot of metrics that she took. My grip strength on my right hand versus my grip strength on my left.
Okay.
Etc.
Do you remember the results and how they fared? Okay.
She said of somebody my age and weight, I should have done about 110 foot-pounds and
110 pounds of grip strength.
There you go.
On the right side.
Yes, but I got 18.
Go ahead and squeeze my hand over here. Okay. Go ahead and squeeze. Okay. All right. And relax. Okay.
Felt like I had a little bit more in me, but no pain that time.
Okay. Let's take a look at a couple things. Let's take a look at how dexterous your fingers are.
Okay.
All right. So talk about how it's been with computer stuff.
Yeah.
Since the injury.
So I used to be 110 words per minute typer. Very, very proud of that number.
Wow.
I used to play. I played something called MUDs, multi-user dungeons, when I was growing up because I'm a big fat nerd. And long story short, am now relegated to typing with one finger on this hand, pretty much. If I use the little contraption over here, I can incorporate maybe 3 fingers, but not extremely dexterously.
Okay.
Whereas, like I'll just type as normal with my left hand and just,
Okay.
yeah, like reinforce the finger, because this, I actually have to reinforce it, otherwise it's like a wet noodle. Like if I try to wash my hair, it's just like sausages in my hair. So I've got to reinforce, because this motion is strong, and then I'll just press, whatever I gotta press.
Okay, I think, going back to that, it's because you have limited extension. For some reason, the brain and the nerves going down to your fingers aren't controlling that very well. Okay, so that's something that I think, gradually with time, that's what we hope to achieve, is that you can go back to typing. Because you do some video editing, and do you have a blog as well?
No, but there's like writing that goes along with, whether it's the production side of creating the content or the promotional posts for Instagram, there's a lot of writing that goes with that. So
okay, I'm sure, just like writing emails and everything. Just average person, not even like for work, you have to basically have use of all those fingers. So if you have to, compensate a lot, or, with your left hand?
Yeah, so besides learning how to text pretty proficiently with my left hand, I have a Google phone or an Android phone, so they have the swipe function, which is quite nice. The other thing that I started incorporating a lot was the speech-to-text functionality, which is actually pretty darn good. It definitely makes my life a world way more easy than it would be without it.
What would you say some of your goals are? What are you looking forward to trying to get back to?
I think there's the immediate goal of having the ability to type with moderate proficiency. I don't need to be 110 words per minute, but I need to be able to type like an adult and use all 5 fingers. It's just a pain whenever I have to write an email or message a friend. I'm always switching to my phone, whereas in the past I would always switch to my computer. Beyond that, the 2 primary long-term goals are to be proficient in the kitchen and to not have any limitations, because I'm compensating with my left hand for almost all things. And kind of a personal hobby of mine, which is like a passion hobby, is rock climbing. And it's kind of important to be able to hold on to things when you're rock climbing.
That's a good goal. It's like when you have a specific form of exercise and you have something to look forward to doing. So typing, working in the kitchen, and also rock climbing, which will probably be much further down the line. But we're kind of trying to tackle a bit more of the cooking stuff today and see what we can do. So Mike, what is your plan with the mac and cheese?
I have no idea. I am going to take it and I am going to cook it, and then you are going to eat it. That's all I know. It's actually really interesting. This is like really lame, but I finger gun a lot, like all the time in my videos. And there's so many times like when we're recording that I want to finger gun, and my hand just does this, which is really not attractive. All right, so box mac and cheese. First things first, I am debating whether or not I just want to use their So I'm debating whether or not I want to use 100% of the packaged products, or if I want to go the proper mac and cheese route of making a roux, which is basically just a really foundational sauce with butter and flour.
Wow.
But I'm feeling lazy, and this is basically cheese roux in a package, so I think I'm just gonna literally make boxed mac and cheese. Step 1, boil some water.
Just a disclaimer, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm actually gonna do as little as possible in this video and have Mike do all of it, because we're gonna try to navigate, just given the amount of restrictions that he has and working around those. So one thing that I actually noticed was that you can pick this up with your right hand, which I think is pretty remarkable.
Did I?
And this is you got it out of the dishwasher, and I thought that was actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I did use a second hand to get it into this position.
I see.
But from there, like, there are certain, like, I don't know if I have the ability to hold it, at proper, but if I bring it in here and I kind of compensate with my elbow, I can get it into my hand.
Okay. Have you ever dropped anything since the injury?
Yeah, actually, like it's surprising because like once in a while you'll just be working on something very, very mundane, very, very simple, and like your hand dexterity will just fail you. I definitely have dropped quite a few things.
May I ask, is that what happened to the coffee filter?
I can say that it was for the narrative, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
That's totally unrelated. Okay.
I fortunately dropped a metal thermos.
Oh dang. Okay.
So like no big deal. I dropped it on my toe.
Oof. Okay.
So that sucked, but like
at least the cup is okay.
no damage.
Yes.
Thank you, Daniel Ma of Marshall Club, for this present. Do you guys need anything? Water? You should try this. This is a company that my friend started. It's called Genius Juice. They actually were in Shark Tank earlier this year. And they're kind of killing it right now. So if you guys see it in the stores, it's a whole coconut smoothie.
Wow, this is awesome.
It's tasty.
It's got a little protein in it, MCTs for that extra energy. This video is not sponsored by the aforementioned product.
Yeah, get on it, Alex. Get on it. Sponsor us. All right, so I'm not going to do any of these measurements. I'm just going to kind of eyeball everything. So the instructions here suggest that we drain the pasta. One of the secrets to cooking pasta is reserving your pasta water, okay? Your pasta water, it's basically the foundation that you get from the roux. In this specific case, rather than cooking it in a lot of water and then draining it, I'm just gonna cook in less water. So A, I'll have reserved pasta water, and B, that reserved pasta water will be even more concentrated with starchy goodness, which will help create a really velvety sauce. Ta-da! So the cool thing about this manual elastic finger extendo-matic, so what it does is, because my hand can't open up naturally, it does it for me, which I will demonstrate in just a second. It also provides a little bit of resistance so that when I grab down on things, I can increase the resistance with these rubber bands. So, like I said, I can't keep my hands up, like I can't open my hand like this, so this will do it for me. So now I can grasp things and, so forth. Also, this is the rubber bands that provide resistance from my grabbing.
Oh, so yes.
I
would think that with time, then potentially as you get stronger, you actually need less and less resistance from that rubber band.
Quiet, Alexa.
Do you use Alexa as a texting device?
No, I have not. I wonder how that would go. Alright, so I'm just gonna eyeball it. The water is hot, so it won't add to the cook time. I'm trying to cook it in as little water as possible. Again, to maintain the velvety, starchy goodness. Normally I would season the pasta water, but because the instant cheesy thingamajig is so salty already, I'm not going to. I instinctively want to add fish sauce to this, and I instinctively want to add chicken bouillon to this to add that umami. But again, that's not something I'm going to do because that's already super, super salty. So here, again, I'm not really measuring out the amount of water. I'm eyeballing it, seeing how much the pasta will absorb. And then from there, I will just add more if necessary.
All right, so one of the things that I thought was really cool was that you were able to do some of the stirring and actually a decent amount of the cooking with the right hand. And I think that probably with the assistive device has made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, like one of the things that would occur when I was trying to grab, like one of the primary things that would occur without the assistive device is if I'm trying to grab this, I have to kind of like position my hand to like, just luckily get it. So the assistive device does make it a lot easier.
It's crazy, yeah.
It opens up my hand so that I have a little bit more flexibility with regards to the accuracy of grabbing things. I know I'm gonna add black pepper for sure, and you guys can see me struggle with a pepper mill, but I've got a hack for that.
And just to clarify, this is the first time you've cooked since?
Yep. First time I've cooked since. So it's super close. I'm turning off the heat. I'm adding this primarily as a coagulant and simply to obey the rules of the challenge. Normally, if I were to actually make mac and cheese, I would just make it from scratch. Simple roux, melt cheese into the roux. I'd use something like a camembert or like something interesting or something tasty. But Today, I'm not using those things. I'm using generic cheesy Dorito seasoning nonsense. Rather than trying to like make it interesting before or halfway through, I'm gonna take a finished product and show you guys how to make something a little bit more nuanced and interesting. So right now we have salty and cheesy. I want to balance this out. I want something a little bit brighter to make this less boring. So instinctively I think about acids, and secondarily I think about spice. I also think about herbs to add that like bright herbaceousness, and I also think about maybe something with a slightly sweet element. But one thing I definitely know that I do want is black pepper. Secondarily, I'm gonna use Thai chili flakes. Can you take spicy? So I use them in so many things. You may say that this looks like a generic chili from, like the dried chilies, from the Costco packets. It is nothing like that. There's a smokiness, there's like a nuance, there's a real depth of flavor that you get from these chilies. That's why I use them in like every other thing. So I haven't tried working with a pepper mill yet, but I imagine it's gonna be a touch challenging. So I can do it, but there's a way easier way to make it work. It involves a sheet tray. Don't worry, it's clean. It's just and something to go smash with. Come on. All right, I'm gonna grab peppers that are untoasted. A little too lazy to toast them today, so we're not gonna toast them. Toasting the peppers will actually bring out some of the oils and change the dynamic of the flavor. It is generally advisable to do, but today we're being lazy, and being lazy is a-okay. So this is just Indian black pepper. I feel like going with a little bit of coriander and a little bit of cumin today. So I'm gonna be doing the same thing with the cumin too, so you can see me do that in just 1 second.
Can you comment on how it feels to dispense the spices with your hand?
It doesn't hurt. It feels like slightly less dexterous, where I feel like normally I would have more of an up and down.
Okay.
Now I'm just kind of like shaking my whole arm to get it to, like the shake isn't limited to my hand. It's kind of like just starting way up here in my shoulder, but no big deal. And try to make something yummy. So we can take it over here for slightly easier visibility. So the seasonings go into a pan, and I can use my body weight to crush it. I actually really like coarsely ground pepper and coarsely ground spices in general. I like the actual texture that you get. So for me, even though this is like not perfectly broken up, this has obviously no flex. Can you guys smell that? And if you are willing to put in the extra work, also toast them. I don't really need to use this bowl, but just it'll make a slightly more
appealing.
Yeah, aesthetic.
Wow, so you figured out this trick because you've done it before, or you just thought of it on the spot?
Well, I don't know if I've seen somebody crack black pepper like that, but it's like basically just using your stuff like a mortar and pestle. Mortar and pestle is like a very, very classic instrument that is super common in Thai cooking to make curry pastes and like a lot of the salads. We call them salads in America, but they're not really salads, like papaya salad. Mm-hmm. Just kind of winging it and making do. Since I don't have mortar and pestle on hand, and the pepper mill is a little bit difficult. All right, so. And now I feel like this is gonna be fairly well seasoned and fairly interesting, but I'm not done. I think to this, I want to add an herbaceous element. There's two things that you need to keep in mind. People eat with their eyes before they eat with their mouth. And a little bit of green is probably the easiest, cheapest, simplest way to make something look a little bit more attractive and pop on a plate. I am going to go with cilantro.
You took out a bunch of fairly, I think, pretty fine herbs. The cilantro.
Yep, and
right hand, you're okay with that.
indeed. I also had this idea as I was doing it that this is a good opportunity for me to see how my knife skills are currently holding up. So, come on. There we go. At this point, I'm actually going to remove this because it's like fuzzy and I don't want to get it wet. Safe? I really like cilantro stems. People always throw them away. I think you should eat them. They are, any brown bits are the things I'm cutting off. Hey, look at this. My fingers are still moderately dexterous. It's interesting because the gripping isn't greatly affected. I'm not holding it super tight. You shouldn't hold the knife super tight. You should hold the knife comfortably in your hand. Also, the way to hold the knife, people, I can demonstrate it a little bit more properly with the left hand. You want to take your index finger, grab here, and your thumb and grab here. This gives you the best control of the blade. So you're pinching the knife. The rest of the fingers just wrap around the knife. This allows you to do all the techniques you need to do. A lot of times you see people holding it like, well, I'll do it with this hand. You'll see people holding it like this. This is bad because as you're pushing down, if you're really working on it, you can accidentally slip and put your finger into the danger zone. A lot of times people will just grab the handle. That also is bad because you have less control of the blade. Holding it with a pinch with your thumb and your forefinger gives you the maximum balance.
So how does it feel with the cutting?
It doesn't feel too bad, honestly. I feel like it's definitely not normal, but it's not like abysmal. I feel like I can definitely tell that my fingers are less dexterous. Mm-hmm. But again, since the dexterity is happening primarily with my left hand, maneuvering the vegetables, and my right arm is doing most of the work. Like in this specific situation, if you look at my hand, the hand isn't actually doing that much other than holding. Mm. So the motion for the slicing happens starting with the biceps and the wrist. Biceps and the forearm, or biceps and the whatever. You tell me. You're the.
Yeah, I would say you're actually putting a little bit of your weight into that as well. Mm-hmm. But a lot of that control does come from the elbow and above, so it's not all fingers.
Yeah, so I'm noticing that. Yeah, this is totally fine.
That's awesome. And sometimes you'd be surprised to find. I mean, this is a little bit going into more of the psychological aspects. But if you're really trying to get back into something that you're used to doing or you enjoy doing, then you actually are able to do a lot more than you think you can.
As you can see, it might have looked gloopy in the beginning, but that water has all been absorbed, and the finished product should be substantially more velvety and more like consistent throughout as a result. You know, like the pasta water helps the sauce stick to the pasta, and in this specific case, it's like we're making cheesy water, kind of a weird. So next up, plating. I know this isn't like super over the moon. I would actually do a poached egg, which, you know what? I'm gonna do a poached egg. Kitchen hack that I will demonstrate very, very quickly. So, if you have an egg and are too lazy to poach it, what you can do is you can get a cup.
Getting the best bang for your buck by watching this video. Like and subscribe to Mike Rao.
A show about food, yes. So a little bit of water at the bottom, and then let's see how I do here. I'm trying not to like explode it. right, so egg goes into the water. You just want just enough water to cover the surface of the egg. Just covering that. And a minute later, we'll have a perfectly poached egg.
Microwavable poached eggs.
Look how sad it is. Trying to finger gun. Finger gun.
Maybe you could do this instead and see.
Yes, finger gun.
Modified version of a dual wielding pistol.
Yes.
You get this magnum here.
Exactly. No dual elites.
I am not taking a stance on gun laws.
I like that. You know what we are taking a stance on? We're taking a stance on masking. So mask, people. Don't be dumb. Don't get COVID. So you have to kind of learn your microwave's tendencies, and even the cups that you use affect the total cook time. But if I did this correctly, this should be pretty darn close to perfect. Hopefully, I think I might have overcooked it a touch, like a really, really small touch.
That looks better than any poached egg I've ever made.
So one thing to keep in mind, if you end up desiring more than one poached egg, your cup is now hot, and that changes the cook time.
This is so much cleaner than how I usually poach eggs, which is a whole pot of egg whites.
Come on, be runny. No, it's a little bit over. Nature created, like God created some really fantastically wonderful and attractive things that we can play with minimal effort. And just because I'm gonna be a little extra, I feel like the sweetness of sriracha will go a long way in cutting the... Itadakimasu!
Seriously, dude, that looks like the most pro mac and cheese I've seen. Like, this is easily a $2 or $3 sign Yelp mac and cheese. All right, here we are for the taste test. Ooh, wow, it's pretty tangy. It's pretty good. Very different. Mind you, this was made by a chef who also has a broken wrist.
That's this wrist.
So we've had to, I've observed a lot of things that he had to do differently. I thought the trick with getting the spices to grind, he used actually a pan over another metal pan with the peppercorns, the cumin, coriander seeds. That was actually very, very smart. Wow, so good. This is you've elevated a dish that came out of a 50-cent box.
I'm not unhappy with this.
So what are your thoughts after cooking for the first time after you haven't broken your wrist?
Honestly, it's kind of like two-part. A, the joy of cooking is really nice, but also the joy of creating and doing this with, it's kind of invigorating, I think, like you were mentioning, sometimes having a goal in mind is really, really useful. And sometimes the days get long, when you're sitting there hoping that it gets better, it gets pretty frustrating just to sit around waiting for recovery. But to learn where your limitations are actively and to go get it, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, awesome. I think, it definitely took a lot longer because we were filming, and you probably would have been able to whip this up in half the time if you didn't have this injury. But the goal is incremental, small changes. And I actually encourage you to do more in the kitchen, because I know over the past couple of weeks you haven't been able to do that. Mm-hmm. But today you've actually shown us that you could do a decent amount. So maybe at least one meal a day, or you could at least do some of the stuff with a knife. I think cooking is actually a good exercise for you to practice a bit of your finger dexterity, your grip strength. You had to hold that pan multiple times, and that was actually, I think, no easy feat. That's no joke.
All right, you should eat. It's getting cold.
Okay. All right, that's a wrap. So thank you guys for watching till the end. It was a pleasure having you, Mike, here with me in this video. So go to Mike's channel at...
Or there.
Look for Mike Rao on YouTube and subscribe to his channel and follow him. We'll definitely be doing more guides for how to navigate different tasks in context of an injury. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.